So everyone, hi, my name is Sharon D. Perry, CEO and founder of Your Worth It Foundation, Inc. I am a housing strategist, not only for the physical house, but also for the spiritual and mental house, right? So it's all encompassing. But this evening, we are going to be talking about the credit game, and we are doing the basics on credit. Let me know if you guys can see. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Let me go back. Okay, welcome to the credit game, and we're going to be covering the basics on credit. I'm going to be showing you guys the basics, and the basics can raise your credit score extremely high. I know on social media, it gets kind of complicated on social media, but we are going to break it down to the basic of the basics because for anyone who doesn't know, I used to teach um, a while ago, a long time ago, in elementary school. And by the grace of God, He's gifted me with the ability to break things down so even a small child can understand. So, first, what is credit? Okay, we see here that credit is an agreement between the lender, whomever that lender is, right? And the borrower, which is you, right? And what a credit does, it allows you to obtain funds, right? So you can purchase goods and services with repayment at a later time, with interest, if you don't know how to manage it well, because there's a way around that. And that's part of the basic that we're covering right now. If anyone has any questions, please unmute. Again, I am not able to see the comments, and I need you to unmute and ask any questions. Okay, so there are two types, right? We have secured and unsecured credit cards. A secured credit card requires a cash deposit. A lot of times when a person is building their credit and they don't have credit, a lot of times when you try to get credit, they're going to ask you for the secured credit card, meaning that you have to put money down. For example, they ask you to put $200 into an account with the lender, and the lender sends you a card, right? And you can utilize that card up to the amount that you have put in with the lender, which is the $200 in this example. And then once you use the money and you pay it back, that helps to increase your credit score. Now, the difference between the secured and unsecured, like here, it states you do not need to put down a deposit. I call it the good faith that the lender believes that you can and will pay back the monies that they have said that you are qualified for, right? So a secured requires a cash deposit down, and an unsecured does not require a cash deposit down, all right? And also, an unsecured card requires a higher credit score. Like I said, with the secured, it tends to be with people with extremely low credit scores or people that have to start back over. I had to start back over in the past, so I'm quite familiar with secured credit cards. I forgot what year it was. It was a long time ago. But I had a secured credit card. I believe it was with NetSpend. It was so long ago. I think it was with NetSpend. I think I was in my 20s. Can't remember. But I believe it was with NetSpend. And um, you have to put money down and everything. And at that time with NetSpend, I used to put my, what you call it, my paychecks, because I used to get paid, a small amount because I was still in college at that time. And I used to have my paychecks go to the secured credit card in order to increase my credit score. So when I purchase things on a daily living, it would affect my credit score. So even back then, I knew just a little something, something. Back then, I know a whole lot more now, but that's the difference between a secured and an unsecured. So basically, you require cash down for secured, and you do not require cash down for unsecured. Okay, in the credit game, there are some things that you need to understand, right? In order to beat the credit game, because a lot of people who are extremely rich utilize the credit. I mean, can I say utilize, abuse? They take advantage heavily of the credit game, right? Because when you have income, right? Income is an asset, right? And when you have an asset, meaning money coming into your pocket, you are taxed on that money. Now, credit is a liability. It is considered as money coming out of your pocket. So it is not taxed the way how asset money coming into your pocket is. As a matter of fact, most of the time it's not taxed at all. So in order for us to know how to utilize this, right, you have to, number one, you have to pay your credit card on time. Every single time. Unless there is a national situation that happened, like the pandemic, there are federal laws that come into place, and there are deferments that are done where the payment that is due, okay, we're in right now October. Let's say you have a payment that's due in October. If, God forbid, we're not calling any more pandemics, but if a national situation happened and a lot of companies defer, and it's not only for credit cards, it's also for vehicles, it's also for mortgages, all of that stuff when it's a national crisis, right? What they do, because it comes down from Washington, so what they do is they take your monthly required payment and they push it to the back end. So for October, you might have had a payment that was due, And this is only in those situations, okay? Or if you speak to the credit people, right, and you tell them that you're having difficulties or you're hospitalized, some of them, right, they actually do this and not require a national crisis. And they take the payment that's due for this month and they push it back to the end of your payment window. So with a credit card, okay, you can ask your question. I can't see the chat, so you have to speak.
No, I was waiting for you to finish your statement to ask my question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you finished with your statement?
You can go.
I was going to ask. It's in response to the statement that you just made about being deferred. I was gonna say, even though they deferred your payment and or pushed it back, if you do not have the full amount, but you want to pay a partial amount, can you still do it and it goes towards the payment? Or when you do the deferment, or when the deferment happens, you just wait until they reinstall it, or can you still basically can you still make your payment?
That is a very good question, because one thing that does not disappear is interest, right? So that's a very good question. Once you have a deferment, you can always pay. Let's say things aren't looking good and you feel like you're not gonna have the money for, I'm gonna use the example, for this month, October. And the credit people, this also goes for cars and it goes for mortgages. So, but I'm covering credit now to keep it simple. Um, when they defer it and push the payment back to the end, right, of the payoff amount, right, you can pay money on it and put it to decrease the principal. So when you make this payment, make sure that it says principal on there when you make the payment. Because with the credit cards that I have, they have the minimum payment that's due, and they ask you, do you want to pay any more, right? With credit cards, it automatically goes towards the principal, but with houses and vehicles, it does not. And I don't want to confuse anyone with that. So let me just stick to credit because it does not. You have to specifically say with houses and cars that you want it towards the principal. Because listen, they will take that thing and put it towards interest. They'll pay themselves first. Okay. So it goes towards the principal. And we know from our previous events that once you pay towards the principal, the money that you actually borrowed, right? Not the interest that they're adding onto it. Once you pay towards the money that you actually borrowed, in the case of a credit card, it decreases the amount of interest that they can charge based on how much you borrowed. Hopefully everyone caught what I just said. Let me know if everyone caught what I just said. So when you pay on time, every time, that applies to, someone put something in the chat. If you can,
It was Lily. She said no, she didn't understand.
okay. So when you use a credit card, let's say for example, you use a credit card and you use $100, right, on your credit card. And let's say your APR, annual percentage rate, is 10%. Most credit cards are not 10%. They're way higher than that. I'm just using this for simple math. They are not 10%. So they're not. Okay. They're higher. Okay. So you used $100, right? And when you pay money, right, they will probably say to pay $5, 9.99, $10, because they're trying to get as much interest out of you. Because once you use $100 with an APR of 10%, that's $10 on $100. So they're making $10 because you use their money, right? For with specifically with a credit card, if they ask you and tell your minimum payment is $10, but you pay $50, right? The $10 goes towards um the minimum due, right? And then you have the interest that comes out of it, and the rest of that money for the $50 goes towards the principal, which is the amount that you actually used on the card. So you used $100, they ask you to pay 10, but you pay 50, it decreases how much you borrow in total, which then decreases how much interest they can charge you after that, what's left on the card. So if you have $100 and you pay 50, you have 50 left, right? Theoretically speaking. Now, with interest, you already know an interest of 10%, that is going to be $10 of interest that you're paying on $100 to the credit card. So you have to take it off of the 50, because they're not going to let you use the money for free unless you know how to work the credit card. That's why I call it the credit game. So let me know if you understand. You have to pay interest, especially if you don't pay off the amount that you borrowed in that period.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, good. So when you pay on time, that is 35% of the FICO score, right? And let me just say that the FICO score is different. It's not the same exact number with the credit bureaus, right? They're not the same exact number. They're in the same window, but not the same exact number going across the credit bureaus. So pay on time every time. Keep your credit, number two, keep your credit utilization low, below 30%. I personally prefer to keep it below 15%. That's my goal. Just in case emergencies happen and you don't have enough money in your emergency account, you have a better chance of paying off the money that you borrowed on your credit card. And credit utilization means how much of your credit limit you used. So, oh my throat. For example, you have $100. Let's go back to the $100. Do not use over $30. That's what they say. But I prefer for you not to use over $15 on $100 borrowed. And believe it or not, you can raise your credit score to the 700s by just eating food and going shopping and shopping for small things, If you have a credit a limit of if you have a credit limit of what you call it, 1,000, don't use 1,000. Don't do that. Don't go on a shopping spree. Don't. We are trying to break generational poverty. Okay. And number three, limit new credit applications, especially if you are trying to buy a house in the near future, because it affects 15% of your FICO score. When there's a hard pull on your credit, it affects 15%. Let me turn up some light here because I'm pretty sure I'm getting really dark.
Yeah, you have a glow of pink surrounding you.
let the lump sum. Okay, so that affects 15% of your credit score, right? Number 4, use your card regularly and to increase your credit limit. When you use your card regularly, the lenders love it because you are using their card. And a lot of time, because a lot of people don't know how to utilize the card properly, they make a lot of money off of people. It's almost like a bank. I mean, it is a lender. A bank is a lender, but specifically bank when you have oh my throat. When you have checking accounts, right? If a person, okay, let me say this. It's gonna sound horrible, but I'm gonna say this because I was talking to God about this. The system is set up to take advantage of people who do not know what they're doing. I'm going to say this again. The system is set up to take advantage of people who do not know what they're doing and how, importantly, how to utilize the information that they're given. So, with a bank, a checking account, a lot of people, right, have checking accounts and they do not manage the checking account well. So what they do is they don't take note of how much is in their checking account. So they go to the store, right? And they purchase something. And a lot of times these banks are going to let the purchase go through. They're going to let the purchase go through because I can't remember how much the overdraft fee is now because it's been so long.
$38.
How much? 38?
35 to $38.
Okay, 35 to $38. Because it's been a long time since I paid overdraft. I mean, it's been years. I can't remember. But if you do not know how to utilize what you have, you are going to get so frustrated and annoyed. So I need people to understand. If you don't understand what I'm saying, please, because I understand about banks, but I'm not talking about banks now. We're going to focus on credit. I'm just using that as an example for you to understand to how to manage this card and how to increase your credit score just by buying bubble gum, just by buying, I don't know, once a month you treat yourself to a cheap meal and you go to, I don't know where you want to go, wherever you want to go to get your cheap meal. Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme, I don't know, Starbucks.
Starbucks.
I know you're someone gonna say Starbucks. Wherever you go to treat yourself. And I believe in treating yourself, right? Not every single day. I believe in treating yourself, right? Because so you don't feel like it gets daunting and it gets depressing. I know there's a lot of gurus out there that tell you to only eat rice and beans, right? Like I said in the last video, not only would you have nutrition deficit, but you're gonna be really upset because you're gonna be bloated. Your stomach gonna be upset, and they tell you to eat noodles. We don't want high blood pressure. You trying to save all this money to pay the doctors? We are not trying to do that. No. So please. Oh wait. Oh my gosh. Okay. So please utilize it. Did the people get in? Because this thing is going on. Okay. So please utilize it appropriately. I'm hoping the people got in. That's trying to get in. Okay. Does anyone remember what I covered? I have a little cheat here. to help anyone. Can anyone tell me one thing that you need to do in order to win at this credit game? Because we're not trying to play games that we're going to lose at.
You can use your credit card, but don't try to go over 30%, and make sure
Mm-hmm.
that you're able to pay it off on time every time.
Yes. And if possible, pay it off in full. And I'm going to expound on this in a further video because there are differences between paying it off in full, because people tell you about paying it off in full, but they don't explain how the two different ways of paying things off. Okay. Avoid applying for too many cards in a short period of time. Try not to close long-standing accounts. So for anyone who doesn't know, there was a period of time where I was homeless, right? Two people, four people, two dogs, and a turtle in a car. And yes, what's your question?
Do okay, because I know, especially when it comes to as a college student, and this is the well, I won't say college, but younger people. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of these credit card companies like to. I hate to use the word target, but they
They
like
do.
to
They do.
they like to approach them because they know most of them have no real knowledge about credit and how to use credit. Would you suggest um department store credit cards, or would you suggest an actual credit card like a MasterCard? And you
A
understand
big,
my question?
yeah, I understand your question.
Okay.
I okay. There are two different type of department credit cards. There are department credit cards that are department credit cards, meaning that you have to shop at that department. And I'm not sure if they still have those cards because those cards were in the 90s and previous, right? And in the 2000s, the department stores realized that they can make more with partnering with Visa and MasterCard. So even though it's a Target card, I'm using Target for an example. I don't have a Target card, but it just came to my mind, Target. A Target card, right? They have the little Visa symbol at the bottom. So it's actually a Visa card that you could shop anywhere, if you understand what I'm saying. But I personally prefer just major credit cards. However, department stores try to get you in by giving you deals and benefits by getting their specific cards. But there's no point in doing that personally for me, especially if you can just get the app. And once you get the app, they give you deals by the app, and you can just use your regular Visa card. That's just a Visa card or a MasterCard, if you understand what I'm saying. There's more than one way of getting the deal from the store that you frequent, other than getting the department store card specifically. Did I answer the question? Let me know if I answered that question. So while I was homeless, for anyone who didn't know, for 2 years and 8 months, four people, two dogs, and one turtle in a car. I used to have a department store credit that I had for a while, right? And when I was homeless, I did not want to spend money in a department store. So, because I didn't spend money, they gave me a warning and they told me that they were going to shut my card down. And at that time, with all the stuff that was going on, my card shutting down was not at the top of my list because there was a lot of stuff going on. And it affected my credit score. It dropped it because I wasn't shopping. I was trying to shop there by getting lip gloss and, just things that's like $3, $2 to keep the card going. But too many things were going on, and that card fell through the cracks. And it dropped my credit score. My credit score is back up now. But at that time, it dropped my credit score. So try not to let that happen, right? We have, okay, we have, I have to put this in here. For anyone who doesn't know, we are a ministry. We are a not for profit. I know a lot of people say that our company is a nonprofit. We're not a nonprofit. We are a not for profit company, and we accept donations so we could continue to do these free events because it takes about $200 per month relatively to keep all the back end stuff working for the company so we can present information to you guys and not be on time restraints. We have apps, we have is a lot of stuff the company has, and it's only getting bigger and bigger. But right now, thank God, it's only $200. It's only $200 to run right now because I keep costs low because I want members to get full benefits. And if anyone wants to try to build their credit, I have this link on here because I have a partnership with Capital One. Capital One helped me when I had to start back over. I went to a period of time when I was basically dying in the hospital. I was dying in the hospital, right? I was in the ICU and everything, and I lost everything where at that time. And Capital One is the one that gave me the opportunity to get me back on my feet. And listen, Capital One have been like right there, right there, right there. They help you with your business because they help me with my business, and they're building my business credit. And listen, Capital One, I don't work for Capital One, but Capital One have been a help to me when I had to get back on my feet when I was released from the hospital. Thank God I'm still here. I'm not dead. I'm alive. So they have helped me. And if you want to donate, we accept donations to keep free things coming in. But do not get the Capital One if you do not understand what I'm covering on on here. Please do not get a Capital One if you do not understand what I'm covering on here. Instead, you can do a free 15-minute consultation and I will explain it to you again, right? The basics, because I also teach very, very young people how to utilize this because my Angela was correct that they target college students because they know a lot of them do not know how to utilize credit, and they're going to be shocked because if there's a young teenager that's been following us, oh, they're going to reap the benefit, and these people look like, oh, she know how to. Yes, yes, she does. She does. Yes, Layla.
Hello. I wanted to ask for those who are younger who have a credit card with a parent, like their card is connected. However, they're an adult now. Do you
Mhm.
recommend them getting another credit card or just leaving the one as is if the parent is, not spending up their money and ruining their credit score? Of course. I mean,
Yes,
like in the application.
that's very important. make sure that your parent also understands that stuff before you do it. But yes, I highly suggest a teenager to get their own credit card, right? To help to build their credit. Now you don't have to get rid of, you don't have to take your name off of your parents' credit card because it will show, right? Remember what I said about closing credit lines. It drops credit. So you use every advantage. Listen, we're teaching strategy here today. Like I said, I'm a strategist. That's what I do. You leave your name on that because the longer the credit line is open, the better it is for you, even though you open a new one, assuming that you're not trying to purchase a house as a teenager, because teenagers can purchase houses, because that's what our company also does, helps teenagers to get to the point that they could purchase houses because they have amazing credit scores. So you don't have to be in your 50s to get a house. But yes, get the card, but do not remove yourself as an authorized user on your parents' credit card. Did I answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So we spoke about FICO credit scores, right? And we broke down what each of these does. And like I said in the beginning, there the credit bureaus do not have the same exact score for each of them, right? So it's in the same window, but it's not the same exact score. So you won't have a 640 on Equifax, a 640 on TransUnion. No, it's in the same window, but it's not the same exact score. So the FICO is calculated by using 5 main categories, and I have the weight of each of these categories here. We have 35% payment history, 30% of how much money you're using on your credit limit. So, like I said, if you have a credit limit of $100, so they approve you for $100 credit card, and you use less than 30 of that $100, right? That is what is where it says amount owed. You utilize less than 30% of what you were approved for, your credit limit. Okay, 15%, the length of credit history. So, like I said, when Layla asked the question, if you are on a parent, it doesn't even have to be a parent. It could be, someone could put an adult as an authorized user. Make sure you know the adult and make sure they understand how to use credit. Let's not, let's use wisdom. Let's not get out of, let's stay focused. So if you put someone, an adult, it doesn't have to be a child, as an authorized user on your card, make sure that both of you understand not to pass 30%. Because even if you don't like purchasing stuff, or you don't like, if you don't have a car and you don't have to buy gas, or you go out to eat and you don't do all this stuff, and your authorized user is that person that does that and pay it off, right? And pay it off. That person, that authorized user, will then increase the person who actually got approved for the card's credit score. So both of you guys can benefit, but both people have to be on one accord. Both people have to understand how to utilize the credit card. And like I said, do not remove yourself. If you want to add a credit card and you're an authorized user and not the actual card holder on the credit card, you don't have to take your name off. Just open another one because, like I said, the length of history is 15%. New credit accounts affects your FICO score 10%. And the types of credit used also affects. So if you have a car and you have a car loan, if you have a mortgage for a house, all of these things affect it. And now what is another good thing is they're allowing rents, right? Because we're in a housing crisis. So they're allowing rents to be affect your credit score. So when you pay on time, right? So that falls into what category? Can anyone guess out of these 5 categories, what do rent fall into?
Payment history.
Yes, your payment history. So if you want to purchase a house, right? And you want to build your credit, your rent can make or break it, depending on if you pay on time or if you don't. So if you know that you are not the person that pays on time, do not add your rent as something that affects you. Don't do it. Do not shoot your own self in the foot. I don't know who came up with that saying, but I'm going to use it right now. Do not shoot your own self in the foot with this. Leave it off if you know that you cannot or do not pay on time with your rent. Yes?
Okay, by you making that statement that you just did about do not put it if you do not pay on time, doesn't it automatically affect your credit score for those if you are a renter and you do not pay on time? Doesn't it automatically, because I've noticed that a lot of apartments now, especially new age apartments, it is part of your uh lease agreement that when you don't pay, they add it to your credit score.
With the new apartments, I'm not familiar with the new apartments. I'm familiar with, how do I say this? Because this is going to be on YouTube. Um, I'm trying to be diplomatic in what I say. Okay, I'm familiar with, I'm gonna call it the mom and pop owners, the smaller companies, the smaller investors that own properties. I'm familiar with them. With the larger investors that have these huge building that these huge apartments that have Target and Burlington and all that, I'm not familiar with those specific investors. I'm familiar with the mom and pop ones who, believe it or not, own most of the real estate that's out here. The large companies own property, but not as much as the mom and pop, meaning the smaller individuals that start their little LLC. Um, and with the mom and pops, that's not part automatically included. You have to request it to be included. They give you the option because it's not a free service, it's a paid service. So they give you the option to choose that or not. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. So hopefully everyone understands what I just said here. Oh, we only have 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, so like I said in the previous slide, I'm going to talk about when people say pay off your credit card, right? Every month, this is breaking it down what it means to pay off your credit card. So there are two ways that we're talking about here. And believe it or not, both of these ways can help you avoid, right, interest on your money that you borrowed. And a lot of people don't break that down. And this is important for you to understand. So we have your statement balance and we have your current balance. So the statement balance, right? How do I say this? Okay, let's say that your statement, you used your credit card, we're in October. So you used your credit card September the 14th, right? And you used 10% of your $100 on your credit card. So you used $10 on the $100. That's the maximum on your credit card because you're still building your credit. So they only approve you for $100. But you only use 10 of those dollars, which is well under 30%. So you can, because people have pay periods that don't necessarily fall within the bracket, you purchased on September 14th, right? This, and then you purchased on October the 5th another $10. So if everyone follow me. So you have a $100 credit card. $10 were used on September 14th. $10 were used on October 5th, right? Statement balance is covering your billing cycle. So within 28 days of your purchase on September 14th, you can pay, let's say you don't have the $20, you can pay and avoid interest. That's the most important thing. You can pay the $10 on October 1st and not accrue interest because you purchased it in one billing cycle, which is separate from the October 5th billing cycle. So let me break this down. $10 September 5th is what you're going to pay to avoid interest, right? Because we're in October now. But your current balance is $20 because you used another $10 on October 5th. So your statement balance for September, because you used the card on the 14th of September, not on the 1st of September, which is the statement cycle for the credit card. And it could get kind of confusing. So anyone who doesn't understand what I'm saying, ask the question. So September 14th, you use $10 and you're paying it off, but you use $20 on the whole because we're on October 15th today. You can pay the $10 on October 1st and not accrue interest because you paid it within that billing cycle within 28 days or whatever card they have your billing cycle of when you open the card. It's a lot of stuff that goes behind it. But your statement cycle, you paid it off in your statement cycle. Now, the money that you have, the $10 that's left over, is part of your current balance. The whole thing, $20 on your credit card. You have a credit card and you see on your credit card app, because people don't really do paper. I don't think people do papers anymore. In your app online, you see that your total available credit is $100. You see for your transactions that you use on September 14th, $10. And then you saw that you use on October 5th, $10. The, the total balance, current balance means the total that was used. It means the total amount used. That's what it means. The total amount that you use. Now, the statement balance means what you use in that billing cycle. So that's the difference. So you can actually have money that you owe on the credit card and still not pay interest if you understand your billing cycle. Because every month, based on when you got the card and how the lender does it, they tell you when your billing cycle begins and when your billing cycle ends. So as long as you pay that first $10 within that billing cycle, right, it shows that you have paid off that billing cycle and they cannot charge you interest on the money that you borrowed. So you're borrowing someone's money and they're hoping that you don't understand this, right? Because that's how they make money with their APR, annual percentage rate. And it's in the 20s. Even though I said 10% before, I just did it for easy math, but it's not 10%. It's always higher than that, much higher, right? So you have your statement balance, which is a billing cycle, and you have your current balance, meaning all the money that you used, right? That's utilized on your card. So once you pay that $10, and let's say you have to wait 2 weeks because you use the card for another $10 on October 5th, you can pay the other $10 October 15th, which is 2 weeks, because most people get paid every 2 weeks. I think most people get paid every 2 weeks. I think it's been a long time since I've had a normal paying job. So I'm doing a lot of thinking here of how people get paid because I worked in the medical field and I used to get paid every day. So mine was different. So I'm trying to base it on what people usually get paid. My pay was different when I worked in the medical field. So with average, a normal person pay, you can pay on the 15th what you used on the 5th, and you can still not pay interest. So you can use someone else's money, the lender, the credit card, and you can build your credit score by, I don't know what you want to do, go out once every 2 weeks and I don't know, get crab legs. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up now. Buy crab, right? And you want to buy the crab, and you know, based on the fact that you understand your billing cycle for your specific card, and you can go in your app, and it will tell you what your billing cycle is. So you can find out all of this stuff in the app for your credit card. And the billing cycle, like it says, is calculated on the last day of that cycle. So they literally give you that whole cycle to pay off that money on that statement balance. Again, that's different than current balance. Current balance is a total amount that you use altogether. On that specific billing cycle, they give you all those days to pay it off to see what you're going to do with it. And most people let it pass the billing cycle and accrue interest, and they'll have to pay interest on it. I'm going to give you guys some more. Does anyone understand this before I go any further? Because I'm already 8 minutes over time. I'm already 8 minutes over. Okay, this is the bonus here. The bonus is, like I said, get a credit card that gives you cash on the money that you use. Some credit cards give you 4%, some give you 3%, some give you 2%, some give you 1%. It depends what kind of credit card you're getting. And you can use this credit card, right? And when you get the cash back, so they'll pay you to stay in business with them. And this can be very, very beneficial because I utilize this myself. I used one of my credit cards, right? And I had to purchase something on Amazon that was necessary for me. And when I purchased this thing on Amazon, it was free because when you use your credit card and you implement what I told you before by paying off the statement balance, even though you have a current balance that's more, with the example with the 10 and 10, they will give you cash back by using the card and it builds up. When they give you cash back, don't try to use the cash immediately. Let it accrue and build up for something that you might want later on and you don't want to use money for. It's a game. And once you get to know the game, it gets extremely fun to play the game. That's why so many people read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that's why I tell people to read Rich Dad Poor Dad in Freedom University, which is Your Worth It Foundation's course on breaking generational poverty. That's why I tell people to read The Richest Man in Babylon, because you have to change the way how you think, right? They will pay you to purchase gas, right? And when you purchase, because if you have a car and you need to get around in the car and the car is working and you use the car to get from place to place, and it's a gas car, you would have to put gas in the car. Why not get paid to put gas in your own car that you need to use? Why not get paid, right, to eat? Because you need to eat to live at some point, right? You have to eat at some point to live. Why not get paid for it? And this is one of the things I teach young people in their teens, because I understand that's what makes us different than a lot of the gurus out there that you see on social media, because they tell you don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And a lot of time when you tell someone don't do something, you know what they want to do? Exactly what you told them not to do. So you already know the person loves going out and eating, right? And you have a job to pay off the card, or you have money coming in because you don't necessarily have to have a job. Because I've paid off a car without a job. So that's another story. But you can utilize this to your benefit. You just have to know how to play the game to win. We don't want to play the game to lose. We have to know how to play the game to win. And if you like going out to eat, right, you can do that if you have a credit card, right, and you know how to manage it appropriately. Again, I have the QR code here for anyone to donate if this have helped you guys in any way. I hope everyone have learned something that they didn't know before. And if you guys have any questions at all, please let me know. Do we have any questions? Let me stop the recording because I know some people don't want to